Hey guys, Evan here from GMATlab.com. Today I'm going to walk you through a question from the official guide. It's a pretty tough question, seems to cause lots of problems for lots of people, particularly in terms of understanding what's wrong and right and why that is the case. And so I'm going to do a long form explanation where we go through all of the different details. So I hope you'll join me and we can do it together. Okay, so if you want to try this out by yourself, pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. Out of America's fascination with all things antique have grown a market for bygone styles of furniture and fixtures that are bringing back the chaise longue, the overstuffed sofa, and the claw-footed bathtub. Okay, so where are we going to go from here? Well, we need to pick out something. If you didn't see anything wrong with the original, we need to pick out something. So what you can do is scan for differences in the answer choices, or maybe even to your ear this might have sounded a little bit strange, but this subject verb agreement split here between has and have is a very good place to start. Now, online, I've seen a lot of people confused, thinking that things or antique is the subject of the verb have grown. Now, that is not the case. Why is that not the case? Well, there's a simple rule that you really need to know. It will stand you in good stead in the GMAT. The rule is that the subject of a main verb is never in a prepositional phrase. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't know what a phrase is, basically a phrase is just a group of words without a subject and a verb, okay? So it's not like that's as opposed to a clause. A clause would be a group of words with a subject and a verb. So then a prepositional phrase is a group of words without a subject and a verb that begins with a preposition. So here's a preposition with. Other examples of preposition are words like on, between, beside. So they're basically words that tell us the relationship between one noun or another, okay? And another, excuse me. So fascination with all things antique, this is a prepositional phrase. So all of this is a prepositional phrase, group of words without a subject and a verb beginning with a preposition. Subject of a sentence is never in a prepositional phrase. And so any of these words here cannot be the subject. Now, some people get confused by this idea of main verb. Well, what's a main verb? A main verb is a verb that's part of a main clause. The easiest way to understand that is to put it against something that's not a main verb. So if we look at this verb down here, are, well, the verb here, are, is not part of the main clause because this clause, that are bringing back, etc., 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 that's not a main clause. This is telling us about something else in the sentence. We can call this an adjective clause. Okay, so it's telling us about something else. That's not essential information. This is a modifier. It's basically an adjective. And so any verb within that clause is not going to be a main verb, as opposed to this verb here, which is part of the main clause, the meat of the sentence that we need to have an actual functioning sentence. That's our main verb, right? So here we know now that fascination is going to be the subject, right? All of this is just telling us about the fascination. And so that means fascination, first of all, is singular, so we can easily get rid of A, we can get rid of D. So that's our first split, pretty straightforward, subject-verb agreement. Remember this rule if that wasn't clear to you. The subject of a main verb is never in a prepositional phrase. After that, it gets a little bit more complex, right? So we need to again scan for differences, see what we can come up with. We've got this split between that is bringing, that bring, and that bring. Now there's a couple of ways to look at this. Some people look at it in terms of what is the subject of the verb bring. We can look at it that way and we will discuss that. But we can also look at it in terms of tenses. right? So we've got two different tenses here. Bring is the simple present tense. Simple present tense is used to communicate things that happen regularly, right? They may not be happening at this very moment. It's more a habitual action, right? So he runs every day. He's not necessarily running right now at this very moment, but he runs every day. It's something that he does every day, a habitual action. This is bringing. This is the present progressive, or present continuous, as some people call it. This means right now. So right now I am tutoring someone in the GMAT. I am doing this. So this is the present progressive. It means right now. Now, the present progressive is suitably used as well with trends. If we have a trend, the present progressive can communicate a trend very well. So the economy is growing would make sense because that's a trend. It's not something that's going to be true forever. It's not a general rule, but it's something that's happening right now. It might change in the future, etc. And so the present progressive works well with trends. Have we got a trend here? I would argue that yes, this is clearly a trend because we're talking about the market for something, right? It's this fascination is driving a market demand, and this is bringing these these things that weren't used so much in the past, or sorry, in recent past, back onto the market. People are demanding these things. So that's clearly a trend because they haven't been always popular, right? They're coming back. They weren't always there. That's definitely a trend. So that's a very good reason to use the present progressive over using the simple present. It goes together much better. That's the main reason, or one of the very good reasons to pick B. Now, we can also get into what's the subject of the verb, right? Because is bringing is singular, right? And it's clearly talking about the market. So it's the market that is bringing. When we talk about that bring, well, it becomes a little bit less clear, right? So we could be talking about many things because we're not allowed to use this rule. We're not allowed to use this rule because this is an adjective clause. It's not part of the main clause, and so we have to figure this out a slightly different way. Here, what I would really think about is applying the logic. So you need to understand the logic of the sentence. So we're talking about these products that are being brought back to the market because of something, and so it's basically the fascination has grown a market, and then we have to decide between these words. Is it a market or styles that really is the thing that's bringing the chaise longue, the overstuffed sofa, and the claw-footed bathtub back to market? Well, logically, it really makes sense that it's the market that's bringing them, right? So the logic of the sentence is, hey, there's this fascination that's driving a market, and that's driving these products back. That's driving the demand for these products, right? And so it's the market really that's bringing back, not the styles. That's not the logic of the sentence. And so if market is the subject, that's another reason why B is going to be right and C and E are going to be wrong, because the market is singular and bring is a plural verb, and so we can get rid of C and E for that reason too. There's one other thing we can look at here. The fascination with things that are antiques. That's wordy, right? So it's a perfectly correct idiomatic expression to say a fascination with all things antique. that's just an English idiom, a love for all things, whatever. So you hear that quite often. It's just an idiomatic expression. Adding a clause here is wordy. We don't need it. It's not concise. The GMAT loves concision, and so B is going to be our answer. Thanks so much for watching my video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. So we saw a lot of things here. Subject verb agreement. So the subject of a main verb is never in a prepositional phrase. We looked at tenses, and the present progressive tense should be used for trends. We looked at agreement. We looked at concision. So lots of stuff there. If you found it useful, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. So click down below and subscribe, and on the bell so that you get the notifications when I send out a new video. I'll be doing these videos every week, and I'm happy to take requests from subscribers too, so feel free to leave a comment below if there's a certain question you'd like me to look at for you.